Today we're going to focus on the evidence for there being a creator. And we can talk about a lot of different things. We can talk about how everything's so fine-tuned, everything's so designed, like even my hand. Look how designed my hand, and every single cell in my body, it looks like there's design in it. So we could say that the design points to there being a designer, right? So we could say the world, there's so much design that seems to be apparent within creation that we could say that everything has a designer, therefore it points to the existence of a creator. But today we're not going to focus necessarily on that argument. We're going to focus on what's called the first cause argument. And I really like this argument, and some people, you may know it as the Kalam argument. I like calling it the first cause argument because it's just easier to remember that way. But basically, the first cause argument, as you can guess, focuses on cause and effect. So we know that to every effect, there is a cause. So for example, this ball, I just picked it up. So at one point, it was on the table, but now it's in my hand. So we might ask the question, what caused it to go from the table to my hand? We know that this is an effect, but what caused that effect? Well, obviously, me reaching down and picking it up caused it to be in my hand. But then I could push it down and I could say, well, what caused it to fall? Well, obviously, me pushing it didn't help. So me pushing it caused it to fall out of my hand, and then gravity also caused it to be pulled down to the earth. Again, every effect has a cause. So then the question becomes, well, where did I come from? Well, I know that I exist, so what caused me to exist? Well, we could say my parents caused me to exist. So I could say, okay, that makes sense. My parents did something that caused me to exist, so they caused the effect of my existence. So then the question becomes, what caused them to exist? So then we could say their parents. And then what caused their parents to exist? We could say their parents. So we know that each parent caused the next generation to exist, but we could go all the way back to the very first one, and we could say what caused the first thing to exist. And a lot of people think of this like a chain link. So for example, if I was to have a chain in here, you would see just one link, and it's just kind of dangling there. What would you say is causing it to dangle there? Well, we'd say the link above it. So we'd say the link above it is holding it up, but then we say what is causing the link above it to stay up? Well, we say the link above that. So we could keep going and say what's causing that one? We say a link above that. So each link is causing this effect to hold up the other link, but then we go all the way to the top of the chain link, and we ask the question, what's causing the first link to hold everything up? Well, there has to be something different, right? So it gets back to this first cause. What's causing the first thing to happen? So what caused everything to come into existence? That's the question of the first cause argument. What caused everything to come into being? There had to be something different that caused it to come into being, and it had to be eternal, had to be something that's always existed. And you might say, why is that? Because if it came into existence, then we would ask the question, what caused it to come into existence? So then it would be the first cause. So the thing that caused the first cause can't be caused, right? So it's an uncaused thing. It's something that's always existed, something that was never created, because then it would be caused. So it had to be eternal, something that's always existed to cause the first cause. So then the question becomes, how does this kind of go with science, right? Science says that the world is millions of years old or billions of years old. The universe is billions of years old. So then how does that work? What was everything like billions of years ago before the universe? What caused the universe to come into existence? Well, some scientists will argue, well, maybe the universe has always existed. So every element that exists right now has always existed. So nothing has been created or destroyed, it's just always existed. And then, you get into kind of arguments like, well, why haven't we run out of energy? How does our sun have age? How does our earth have age? How does anything have age if it's always existed, right? So that doesn't make a lot of sense, but the question becomes, what exactly caused the first cause? And again, if you say that the universe has always existed, then the question becomes, what caused it to look like this, right? If it's always existed, what caused it to look like this? And you kind of wrestle with this, but eventually you have to get to this concept that it had to be a being. The first cause, the thing that caused the first cause, had to be a being that could make decisions. Because even if you believe in the concept of the Big Bang Theory, where you believe that, I think it's all matter was like infinitely in one spot, and then suddenly it combusted and blew up, and now we have the universe. The Big Bang Theory. I don't remember if that's exactly what it's like, but that's what I was told. But when we have to ask this question, what caused that Big Bang, right? Because if you believe it was all infinite matter in one spot, and then it just suddenly exploded, what caused it to suddenly explode? We know that to every effect there is a cause, so what caused it to explode? Eventually you have to get back to this concept that it was an eternal thing, right? It had to have always existed, and it had to be a being that caused it to exist. Because if it was a being, it could make a decision to cause something. But if it wasn't a being, it couldn't make the decision to cause anything. So if we say the universe has always existed and it caused the Big Bang, well, what made it cause the Big Bang, right? Because if it has no decision making, then it can't make the decision to cause the first Big Bang. So truth is, you have to come back to this concept that whatever caused the first cause must have been eternal, always existed, and must have been intelligent, must have been able to make decisions. Even if the only decision it ever made was to cause the Big Bang or to cause the Earth to come into existence. It depends on what you believe. But whatever it was, whatever caused it had to have some intelligence, so therefore it had to be a being to make that decision. And you could argue that defines lots of different gods out there that people believe in, but the truth is it definitely points to the concept of the Bible's God, the God of the Bible, because the God of the Bible talks about him being eternal, saying he's self-existent. Nothing created him. He's always existed. In fact, when it's talking about Jesus, it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him." Right? So everything that was made by him. And it says, without him was not anything made that was made. So he was not created. He was not caused. He was the first cause. He's always existed, and he's a being. He has intelligence. He can make decisions. And he caused the first thing to happen. He caused everything to happen. So he created everything. So that's where we get back to this argument of the first cause. What created everything? We'd have to say that it was an eternal being. It couldn't just be something that was eternal, because then how does something that is eternal make a decision unless it's a being that can make decisions? So anyways, that's the concept. That's the argument for God, the existence of God. It's this concept that there had to be something out there that was eternal, just like the Bible describes God as being, and it's something that is a being that makes decisions just like the Bible describes God. So that's the argument of the first cause.